On today's episode, we're getting into the 8 whiskeys you need for the wintertime. I go by the name of, let's get into this.
Play the intro.
I go by the name of, Lord, let's review some whiskey. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Now folks, winter is upon us. No pun intended if you watch Game of Thrones, but winter is upon us. It's only right that we end off this year with all these segments with the 8 whiskeys you need for the winter time. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a minute, I've done, I think, the 8 whiskeys you need for the summertime, which is my first one. And I also did the 8 whiskeys you need for the fall time. And if you're gonna watch those both, I'll go ahead and pow, pow, pow. I throw them up right there in true fashion. Now today, I do have 8 whiskeys, and I do have 2 random bottles that has nothing to do with nothing, but I still think they're fitting for the wintertime per se. Now, I'll admit some of these are very hard to find, and some of these are super allocated. So what I am gonna do is for some of these, I'm gonna list out a suggestion that you can easily find, and you don't necessarily have to get the one I mentioned, but if you found it, the more the merrier. Let's get into this one. So the first one on the list. Now, I was thinking of an everyday bottle that you can have, that you can enjoy as an everyday sipper during the winter time. Has a little proof to it, but also has a nice little depth to it, and you can just chill out and vibe to it. You could take it to a friend's house. You can have people come over and enjoy it, and you don't mind if the bottle disappears or it gets envy. So it's none other than the the Early Times Bottle and Bond. Now folks, this one is really good. This right here actually is the one that Sazerac put out, not the one beforehand. It's just my pick for one of the whiskeys you need for the winter time. Now, I know it is very hard to find this particular one in certain areas. Why do I know? Because hell, it's hard to find in my area. I only found a few of them a few times. The rest of them I got online. But if you can't find Early Times Bottle and Bond, you can't go wrong with the Evan Williams Bottle and Bond, which is also pretty good. And also Old Forester makes 100 proof regular day expression in their bourbons that you can find too, that person like. But the Early Times, if you can find it, definitely one I recommend for one you need. Wow. Now the next one, I don't have it in the bottle per se, it's like in a box, so I'm not going to put it up there. I'll put it on the screen. Now I always like to have a wheated bourbon on this list, and this list is no exception for any other list. It is none other than the Maker's 46 Cask Strength. Now this actually is one of my go-to favorites. Like if I'm traveling and I want to make old fashions, always Maker's 46, and what even better than have a little bump with the Cask Strength. So yeah, definitely highly recommend this one. Now I know out there's a bunch of other wheated whiskeys you can get and wheated bourbons. I know, but this is my list. This is my list of the 8 whiskeys you need for the winter time. Now next up, we got one that is allocated. It comes out once a year, usually towards the end of the year. I know this one also is hard to find, but if you can find this one, this actually one is pretty good. This is none other than Midwinter's Night Dram. In particular, this is an old one. This is Act 8, and if you care, Scene 2. Now, this is pretty good. This is basically rye, a few ryes, finished in French oak port barrels. Ow, ow, ow. And this is coming straight out of High West. Now, this is good. This is probably one of my first allocated ryes that I purchased in my journey, and I really like them. But I'll be honest, I don't like them enough to purchase them every year. But this one I do have, I honestly drink it around the winter time. I feel like the spices in here and the notes are very complementary to a lot of things that happen in the winter time. So no pun intended, a Midwinter's Night Dram. Gotta have one, right? Moving right along. Next I gotta go to my trusty notes. We got one, which is my personal favorite. I think this made a list, I'm unsure or not. It is none other than the Peerless Double Oak Bourbon. Wow. Now folks, if you like leather and you like tobacco, really good ones, this is for you. Now this isn't your Woodford's Double Oak, I promise you. This isn't your Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, I promise you. This is a beast by itself, the Peerless Double Oak. Wow. My personal favorite, I dare you to change my mind. This is it. It's one I recommend. This is really good as is. Hell, I've even made this in a few old fashions. Peerless Double Oak. Trust me, trust me. Thank me now. Thank me now. But I would say this much. If you can't find this one I recommend, I'll be honest, this particular taste profile doesn't compare to anything that's out there. But if you had to get something, Laphroaig's Double Oak is a classic. You can't go wrong with that. I personally like that one better than Laphroaig toasted, but the Laphroaig's I would say is pretty cool. You could do like the Angel's Envy Triple Oak, but once again, they're different profiles all day long. But if you can, trust me, this one right here. All right, so next we got up, literally, I kid you not, I was like, I want to do a rye and I want to do a Double Oak Rye. Now, I do have a really good Double Oak Rye I like, but there's another one I think that's super dope too. Why not keep this going with the Peerless Double Oak Rye? Now, folks, if you could find this just like that, I promise you, you would not be disappointed. But however, if you can't find it, two I recommend. One, I personally like the Sagamore Double Oak Rye. That one is really, really, really good. Night and day profiles, but that one's pretty good. And then second one at least, the Laphroaig Toasted Rye is also equally amazing. But this by itself, it's a beast. And I need to clear out space. So let me go ahead and put this down and let's do some movie magic like pow. And we're back. Oh yeah, so the Peerless Double Oak Rye. Oh yeah. Next we got, let's go to my trusty list. Now this next one isn't a whiskey per se. This one is none other than the the Goose Island Bourbon County Stout. Now folks, this comes out usually around Black Friday, and they come out maybe 4 to 5 variations a year. I think this year they came out with 4, but this in particular is the Vanilla Rye Stout. Now I've hoarded a bunch of these in the past and I just like personally collecting them. So if you're into stouts of different kinds and different sorts in all shapes and sizes, I recommend the Goose Island. But once again, it's not a whiskey, but it's good for wintertime. Recommend it. Moving right along. Now another honorable mention that's also not a whiskey, which is a good bottle for the wintertime. I recommend, and if you're into rum, good rum, none other than the Foursqaure. Any Foursqaure rums, but this in particular is the Touchstone. Wow. Now folks, this is coming in at 122 proof at 14 years old. This right here is good rum. Now I always believe you got to have a good rum on deck for anybody who comes over that might be into rum. You can put them on to something new and also burn a hole in their esophagus. Yeah. Now, if you've been watching the channel for some time, we all know I always like to include a scotch on these lists. Now, in particular, Islay scotches. Why? Because I personally like Islay scotches. So this list is none different than the others. This one is none other than the the Laphroaig 10-year finished in a sherry cask. Now this is really good. This is definitely one I recommend for the wintertime if you're into Islay scotches or anything particular in a sherry cask finish. Laphroaig. From Islay it is. Now we're getting down to the second to the last one. Now I'm thinking about a very good pour that you may have maybe like once every other day for the wintertime, or maybe once a week in the wintertime. It's gonna be none other than the Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend. Now folks, this right here, you've heard me mention this before, and if you've seen my On the Desk episode, I'll go ahead and I'll throw it up there. But in particular, if you care, this is batch 288. Now if you don't know, the Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend, it's a bourbon, right? And it's finished in Armagnac, sherry, and cognac cask. Shout out to Nancy Fraley. This right here is hella good. Now the last one. I think I should clear some space out because the last one needs a shelf by itself. And movie magic moment, like wow. Now this last one is, it could go either kind of way. It's very hard to find. Go ahead and say that, small disclaimer. It's very hard to find, but I feel like it is needed for the winter time. Some of us live in parts of the country or the world where it's cold, it's very cold, and you want something to warm you up. Now we do like whiskey and things that warm us up, and what will warm us up? I'll tell you. the Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. Wow, now this is the OG one that came out the first time, and this is 141.1 proof, which is technically what? Woo! Now this, folks, can start a small forest fire. This, folks, can start your car 3 times over and more. This, folks, can actually power your whole house for 3 days. You see how dark this is? See how dark this is, the Coy Hill? Now, I mean, if you cannot find Coy Hill for a price that you want to pay for it, or you just don't see it in your market, which is totally understandable, there's other options. I personally like not pre-store picks. You can't go wrong with 120 proof. But I tell you what, if you can't find that, you can't go wrong with the Smoke Eye Bourbon, the barrel batch proof, whatever they call it. That one is also pretty good. If you can, the Elijah Craig ones are pretty good. Store picks, or the ones that come out every year, the ABC batches are pretty good. And hell, even if you find the regular Jack Daniel's single barrel proof ones, those are really amazing. Yeah, so that is my last pick for the 8 whiskeys you need for the wintertime. The higher the proof, the better. So happy hunting with the highest proof that you can find. So let me know in the comments a few whiskeys that are rotation for you this wintertime. I'm always interested. Put me on, folks, something new. Put me on, put me on. Also, let me know if you've tried anything I mentioned here tonight. So yeah. So if you like this one, go ahead, give me a good old like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, woo! And like we always say at this time, folks, cheers, salute, sante, Kobe, and all that jazz.